quantum shift explained. Once you understand this, reality shifts. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where we explore the unseen forces shaping your life. Today's video is about the quantum shift, and once you truly understand it, your entire reality begins to transform. This isn't just theory. It's a powerful reminder that you are not a prisoner of your current circumstances. You are a creator, capable of collapsing new possibilities into being by shifting your inner state. As you listen, ask yourself, what old patterns am I ready to release? Comment below with, I choose a new reality, if you're ready to step into the next version of yourself. Let's begin this journey into the quantum field together. 1. Infinite timelines exist, but most people stay stuck. You're not stuck because life is unfair or because destiny has turned its back on you. You're stuck because energetically, you're still aligned with an outdated version of yourself, a version that matches your past rather than your potential. Most people live in a loop, reliving the same patterns, replaying the same emotional scripts, and expecting different results. They think they're waiting on life to shift, but the truth is, life is waiting on them to change frequency. The quantum field is not activated by desire alone. It responds to frequency, and frequency is generated by how you think, feel, and embody your beliefs. This means that even if you affirm abundance but still vibrate with lack, or if you visualize love but carry the weight of past betrayal, the field will return what you are, not what you want. You may say you're ready for change, but until your vibration shifts, you will continue to collapse realities that mirror your current state. This is why people repeat cycles. They set goals, make vision boards, pray, and declare intentions, but their inner world hasn't evolved. Their nervous system still expects rejection, still anticipates failure, still operates from the blueprint of fear and self-doubt. It's not a lack of effort, it's a lack of energetic congruence. And when your energy and your intention are out of sync, the quantum field has no choice but to reflect confusion, delay, or stagnation. To escape this loop, you must shift identity. That doesn't mean faking it. It means embodying a new emotional signature. You become the version of you who already lives in the reality you desire. You begin to move, speak, and feel from the timeline where you are already healed, already seen, already abundant. This is the quantum leap, not in circumstance first, but in consciousness. When you change your frequency, reality bends to meet you there. The secret isn't to chase a future. It's to become the frequency that draws it in. And that frequency is built through coherence when your mind, body, and emotions speak the same language. That's when you become magnetic, not through effort, but through alignment. The field doesn't need convincing. It only needs clarity. And clarity comes when your inner world stabilizes into a new state of being that no longer entertains contradiction. There are infinite timelines surrounding you right now. Each one holds a version of your life that is more fulfilled, more alive, more free. But these timelines are not accessed by force. They're accessed by resonance. You don't need to force the old to end. You only need to stop feeding it with your energy. Stop rehearsing the old pain. Stop identifying with limitation. Stop living as if your past is more real than your future. Every time you feel a familiar reaction rise, anxiety, fear, doubt, you are standing at a fork in the timeline. You can choose the loop, or you can breathe deeper, respond differently, and anchor a new frequency. The moment you do, the field listens. And the moment it listens, reality begins to rearrange. Not because you begged for it, but because you became it. Do you feel it too, that you're meant for more than repeating the past? If this message resonates with you, declare it in the comments. I align with my highest timeline now. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with this awakening journey. 2. Desire doesn't shift, reality frequency does. The quantum field doesn't care how badly you want something. It responds to who you are being. You could be speaking affirmations all day long, telling yourself you are wealthy, loved, or successful. But if your core frequency is vibrating with fear, doubt, or lack, that's what the field mirrors back to you. Your words might say one thing, but your energy tells the truth. The dominant emotional signal you emit, whether it's anxiety, scarcity, or self-doubt, is the true magnet pulling reality toward you. That's why so many people feel frustrated when they're trying so hard to manifest change, yet nothing moves. The problem isn't in the desire, it's in the misalignment. Desire without vibrational coherence creates friction. It's like trying to tune a radio to a station you want to hear while staying on the wrong frequency. You might want love, but if you're vibrating in abandonment or emotional insecurity, you keep attracting partners who reflect that. You might want financial freedom, but if your energy is rooted in survival, struggle, or fear of not having enough, the opportunities just won't stick. What you attract isn't based on what you consciously want. It's based on what you subconsciously expect and emotionally embody. This is why transformation begins at the energetic level, not the mental level. The shift happens when you stop obsessing over outcomes and start anchoring into the emotional reality of what you want before it arrives. It's not enough to hope for peace, joy, or love. You must become the frequency of peace, joy, or love now. When you walk, talk, and feel as though the desire has already happened, you collapse that possibility into form. That's the real quantum shift, aligning your inner frequency so precisely that the outer world has no choice but to catch up. In daily life, this means monitoring your emotional atmosphere like a sacred ritual. If you feel yourself slipping into old states, fear, lack, impatience, you gently course correct. You recenter, breathe, and reconnect with the version of you who already lives in alignment. The goal isn't to fake it, but to feel it as real. When you feel the abundance before the money comes, when you radiate love before the relationship shows up, when you trust fully before the evidence appears, that is when the field responds. Not because you begged or forced, but because you finally match the frequency of what you were asking for. Everything in the universe is vibration, and you are constantly broadcasting. You don't need to push harder or hustle more. You need to tune in deeper. The quantum field is always listening not to your voice, but to your vibe. And the reality you experience is simply the echo of what you've been silently transmitting all along. If this message resonates with your spirit, affirm it now. I align my frequency, not just my words. I am the vibration of what I seek. Let the quantum field recognize your readiness. 3. The subconscious runs the show. The subconscious runs 95% of your life. That means nearly everything you do, your reactions, your habits, your choices, is not coming from conscious decision-making, but from an automatic inner script you didn't knowingly write. Most people don't realize this. They keep trying to change their lives with that remaining 5% willpower, vision boards, affirmations, while the deeper part of their mind is still looping old stories of fear, scarcity, and unworthiness. And when those deeper signals contradict the conscious desires, the subconscious always wins. This is why people feel stuck. They speak words of change, but live patterns of repetition. Someone might declare, "I am abundant," but if they carry the energy of lack, hesitation, or guilt around money, the quantum field isn't fooled. The universe responds to vibration, not vocabulary. Your frequency, the energetic state your entire system radiates, comes from belief, not from desire. And your beliefs live in the subconscious. The subconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to repetition, imagery, and emotional intensity. That's why you can't simply think your way into a new reality. You have to feel it into being. Until you impress the subconscious with new emotions, new inner movies, and new energetic baselines, you will continue to live the results of your old programming. Childhood trauma, past heartbreaks, ancestral conditioning. These leave imprints that shape what you expect from life, even if you consciously want the opposite. The real shift happens when you stop fighting the surface and start rewiring the root. Meditation, breath work, somatic healing, and consistent visualization with elevated emotion, all of these create openings in the subconscious. And once that inner landscape begins to change, your frequency changes. And when your frequency changes, the quantum field organizes itself to reflect a new experience. You are not stuck because life is against you. You are stuck because your system is still tuned to an outdated broadcast. You say you want love, but your nervous system still expects abandonment. You say you want wealth, but your emotional memory still holds scarcity. Until those subconscious patterns shift, you will keep attracting evidence that confirms them. Energy doesn't lie. The subconscious speaks in feelings, not words, and the quantum field listens. When all parts of you, mind, body, and nervous system, begin to align with a new reality, the external world cannot help but catch up. Reality bends not when you say you're ready, but when your subconscious finally believes it. That's when timelines collapse. That's when reality shifts. Comment below. I reprogram my subconscious mind for abundance. If you are ready to change the 95% that controls everything. 4. Resistance lives in the nervous system. Resistance doesn't start in the mind. It begins in the nervous system. You may think you're procrastinating because you're lazy or indecisive, but the truth is, your body is protecting you from something it believes is unsafe. That logic you're clinging to may be fear wearing a clever disguise. Overthinking isn't always analysis. It's often anxiety trying to stay in control. The real blockade to your manifestation isn't your lack of effort or belief. It's the unprocessed fear and trauma stored deep within your body, quietly overriding every affirmation you repeat. The body holds memories that the mind tries to forget. These are not just memories of events, but the energetic imprints of how you felt when you were abandoned, rejected, humiliated, or overwhelmed. The nervous system learns from those experiences and encodes patterns of survival patterns that become default responses to anything unfamiliar or uncertain. So even when you consciously want to step into abundance, love, or a new reality, your body may still associate that leap with danger. This is why affirmations can feel empty, like shouting into the void. If your body doesn't believe what you're saying, the quantum field won't either, because the quantum field responds not to words, but to frequency. The key to unlocking a quantum shift is coherence between your thoughts, emotions, and body. When you say, "I am safe," but your breath is shallow, your chest is tight, and your stomach is clenched, there is no coherence. There is internal conflict, and that conflict becomes your signal. That's what the field picks up on and mirrors back. To change your external world, you must shift your internal baseline. That's not about working harder. It's about feeling safer. The nervous system must be rewired gently, patiently, and consistently. Only then can you embody the frequency of the future you desire. This is why nervous system regulation is not optional if you want to create a quantum shift. Practices like breathwork, grounding, somatic release, and nervous system recalibration help release the emotional tension you've been carrying for years. They help your body feel what your mind has already decided. It's finally safe to grow. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to receive more. When your body begins to trust the experience of expansion, your frequency becomes congruent, and the quantum field aligns effortlessly. So the next time resistance arises, don't fight it. Don't try to override it with louder affirmations or busier routines. Pause and ask, what emotion needs to be acknowledged? What part of you still feels unsafe? Healing doesn't always look like progress on the outside. Sometimes it's just you, sitting with discomfort, allowing the nervous system to finally exhale. And in that stillness, the shift begins, not because you forced it, but because your entire being became ready to receive it. Stay connected with our healing community by subscribing to our channel. Here, we uncover the deeper roots of resistance and guide you in releasing what the body has been holding. Remember, true transformation begins not just in the mind, but in the nervous system. You are worthy of peace, clarity, and forward movement. 5. Quantum embodiment is the real key. You don't create new timelines by wishing or hoping you embody them right now. That means you stop trying to think your way into a new life and instead become the version of yourself who already lives in that reality. When you embody abundance, you don't anxiously check your bank account after every purchase. You spend with quiet trust, knowing that the flow of money reflects your inner state, not the other way around. When you embody love, you don't wait for someone else to show it first. You soften your heart, even when it feels risky, because love is your natural frequency. When you embody health, you don't wait until you're healed to treat yourself with care. You nourish your body, you rest, you breathe like someone who deserves wellness now. A shift in your timeline doesn't begin with affirmations. It begins with alignment. Your breath, your emotions, your posture, and your behavior are the tuning forks that send signals into the quantum field. And that field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. This is where most people get stuck. They keep repeating the same habits, holding the same emotional tones, and wondering why nothing changes. But the quantum field mirrors coherence, not contradiction. If your inner world still echoes your old story, no amount of vision boards will shift your life. A woman I worked with once said she was manifesting abundance, but every action she took came from fear. She hoarded money, stressed over bills, and refused to invest in herself. She didn't realize she was still vibrating in scarcity, even though her mouth spoke abundance. Everything shifted when she decided to trust her future. She began tipping generously, not to prove something, but to live in the emotional vibration of plenty. She started walking with more ease, relaxing her shoulders, and smiling more often. She embodied the woman who already had more than enough. Within weeks, unexpected income began to appear. Her energy was no longer in conflict. It was finally aligned. To truly shift timelines, you must ask yourself, are you living as if your desires have already arrived? Or are you reinforcing the timeline you say you want to escape? Embodiment is not about faking it. It's about making space inside your nervous system for a new identity to take root. It's breathing like someone who trusts life. It's moving through the world with quiet certainty. It's choosing faith in micro moments, again and again, until your outer world catches up. This is the quantum embodiment. Not waiting for proof, not begging the universe, but showing up now as if the shift has already happened, because energetically it has. The quantum field holds infinite realities. The one you experience is the one you consistently tune into with your body, your heart, and your behavior. When all of you are aligned, reality has no choice but to meet you there. Are you ready to embody the timeline you've been dreaming of? If so, comment below. I choose to embody my highest reality and take the first step into alignment, mind, body, and soul. 6. Small, aligned actions matter more than grand gestures. People often think that massive breakthroughs require massive actions, huge life changes, dramatic decisions, grand gestures. But in the quantum field, it's not the scale of the action that matters. It's the sincerity behind it. Micro-alignments, those small intentional choices you make every single day, carry more power than desperate leaps made from fear. The universe doesn't reward intensity. It responds to coherence. Every small act of integrity becomes a signal, a pulse that ripples through the quantum field, adjusting the frequency of your timeline. When you choose peace instead of reacting, gratitude instead of lack, presence instead of distraction, you're tuning yourself to a new reality. These aren't just good habits. They are quantum keys anchors that hold the vibration of the person you are becoming. You're not becoming powerful by accident. You're becoming powerful by alignment. Every time you take a breath and pause before speaking, every time you choose to trust instead of worry, you are making a declaration to the quantum field. This is who I am now. And the field responds not to your wishes or intentions, but to your consistency. Imagine someone trying to manifest abundance. They may think they need to take a giant leap, invest in something risky, quit their job, make a loud move. But abundance doesn't flow from panic. It flows from stability, appreciation, and trust. That small act of paying off a small debt, of blessing a meal with thanks, of managing money with clarity, those are the real activators. Those are the moments that shift timelines. These small choices carry weight because they are grounded. They aren't made to impress the outside world. They're made in quiet truth, without the need for attention. That's what makes them magnetic. And over time, their energy compounds. The small aligned action you took today becomes the foundation for the reality you'll live tomorrow. You are not being asked to prove anything through effort. You are being asked to embody your next self through small, consistent, meaningful steps. These steps may feel ordinary. They may even feel invisible. But they are echoing across the quantum field, reshaping the structure of your life with every repetition. The real shift doesn't happen in a moment of explosion. It happens in 1,000 tiny moments of truth. And each of those moments becomes a quantum key, an energetic signature that unlocks the next level of your evolution. quiet, subtle, powerful, unshakable. If you're ready to stop chasing big breakthroughs and start anchoring real change with small aligned steps, this video is for you. Like, subscribe, and join us on the path of quantum transformation. 1 sincere action at a time. 7. The power is in the return, not perfection. You will slip into old emotions, past habits, outdated thoughts. And that's not a failure. It's part of being alive, part of being in a body that remembers what it used to be. But the true strength of transformation is not found in perfection. It's found in how quickly you return to your center each time you drift away. Every time you recognize that you've stepped out of alignment and choose to come back, you reclaim power. You teach your nervous system safety. You remind your spirit that it's in charge now, not the wound. Old patterns are like muscle memory. They don't disappear overnight. They return when you're exhausted, when your boundaries are soft, when you're expanding into a new version of yourself. That return doesn't mean you're regressing. It means you're cycling through a deeper layer of healing. Real spiritual growth is not linear. It's layered, spiraled, textured, and every return is actually a rise. You return with more insight, more compassion, more understanding. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from remembrance. Coherence is not the absence of chaos. It is the discipline of bringing your breath back to stillness when the storm is loud. It is the soft, steady heartbeat of your awareness choosing calm over chaos, choosing trust over fear, choosing presence over the mind's noise. The quantum field responds not to how perfect you are, but to how consistently you return to the vibration of truth. Each moment you choose alignment is a moment the field takes note. You are not fooling the universe with wishful thinking. You are shaping it with embodied frequency. A return can be as simple as taking a deep breath with intention. It can be the conscious release of a thought that no longer serves. It can be whispering a truth to yourself when your mind is spiraling. These small, invisible acts are not weak. They are quantum. They are subtle, energetic signals that recode your vibration and remind your reality of what you truly expect and believe. You don't need to force your way into change. You need to soften your way into coherence. When you learn to return with grace, something magical happens. Your bounce back becomes faster. The time between falling and rising shortens. The noise loses its grip. The nervous system rewires itself toward peace. The emotional body stops fighting the past and starts flowing with presence. That is mastery. That is how reality begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because you learned the art of returning again and again to who you truly are. Perfection is rigid. Return is fluid. And fluidity is where quantum change lives. If this message resonates with you, comment, "I agree, I choose to return," to affirm your path of growth. If you see it differently, feel free to share your view with, "I don't think so." Your voice matters here. 8. Rituals, symbols, and tools only work if you embody them. Breathwork, meditation, sound frequencies, and sacred numbers like 369 or 777 are not shortcuts to transformation. They are not magic spells that change your life by mere use. These tools hold power only when your entire being participates, when your breath, body, mind, and energy all align with what you are invoking. Without embodiment, these practices are just motions without meaning, rituals without resonance. The quantum field doesn't react to your outer performance. It responds to your internal state. You can chant affirmations 100 times, But if your energy is fragmented, your emotions are anxious, and your mind is in disbelief, the field reflects that chaos right back to you. This is why two people can perform the same ritual with vastly different results. One sees breakthrough, the other remains stuck. The difference is coherence. The difference is embodiment. To embody means your nervous system is calm, your heart is open, and your actions are rooted in presence. When you breathe with intention, you're not just taking in air, you're signaling to the universe, I am safe, I am ready, I am aligned. When you meditate, it's not about escaping life, but about meeting yourself fully in this moment, free of distortion. Sacred numbers like 369 aren't lottery tickets for abundance. They are energetic codes that only activate when you carry their vibration within. There was a woman who practiced daily rituals with candles, crystals, and affirmations, yet her life stayed the same. She was frustrated, wondering why nothing worked. But underneath all the rituals was fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of failure. Fear that none of it would work. Her actions were loud, but her energy whispered doubt. The turning point came when she stopped trying and began aligning. She learned to ground her breath, regulate her emotions, and genuinely trust the process. That's when change arrived, not because the ritual suddenly became powerful, but because she did. Tools are anchors, not saviors. They help stabilize you into a desired frequency, but they don't override your inner state. If you light sage in a room filled with tension, the smoke doesn't cleanse the energy you do through the clarity and presence you bring into that space. If you chant mantras without belief, you're only hearing echoes. But when you chant with conviction, your voice becomes a signal that reorganizes reality. You can't trick the field. You must become the vibration. And when you do, the outer begins to shift quietly, consistently, and powerfully. That's why ritual alone isn't enough. The field mirrors what you expect, what you feel, what you embody, not what you say or do on the surface. When every breath, every frequency, every intention is rooted in genuine coherence, you stop trying to manifest and start magnetizing. So it's not about collecting more tools. It's about using fewer tools with deeper presence. Breath becomes a portal. Stillness becomes strength. Symbols become signals. And you, when embodied, become the ritual itself. If you're still here, comment, I'm embodying it, below. Your energy matters, and your presence helps us grow this space of truth and transformation. 9. Sustainability is what locks in the new timeline. Manifestation is not a one-time spark that magically changes everything. It's not a wish you make in a high-vibe moment and then forget about. The truth is, the quantum field responds to repetition, not randomness. A new timeline becomes real when you live in it consistently, not just when you think about it occasionally. If you only visit that future version of yourself once in a while, when you're meditating, scripting, or visualizing, you're not anchoring that shift into the quantum field. You're just flirting with the idea of change, not embodying it. The reason many people stay stuck is because they return to their old emotional patterns right after trying to manifest something new. They might say, I am abundant, during their morning routine, but by the afternoon, they're worrying about bills, feeling doubt, and scrolling through fear-based content. That emotional inconsistency confuses the quantum field. It's not about the words you say, it's about the signal you broadcast, the emotional energy you carry throughout your day. The field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are, on a vibrational, subconscious level. This is why emotional regulation is one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can master. Every time you choose calm over chaos, gratitude over anxiety, trust over control, you're reinforcing a new timeline. You're telling the field, this is my new baseline. This is who I've become. The more often you return to that inner coherence, the more the field reorganizes itself around your new frequency. You're not chasing a new life. You're tuning into it and letting it become your default signal. Sustainability means showing up to your new energy, even when there's no external proof yet. It means returning to alignment again and again, like tuning a radio until the station comes in crystal clear. When your nervous system begins to feel safe in the new state, when you stop reacting to the old reality and start rehearsing the energy of the new, the quantum field locks it in. That's when reality shifts, not because of wishful thinking, but because of energetic consistency. Embody the version of yourself that already lives in the reality you desire. Think like them. Breathe like them. Walk like them. Stop asking when it's going to show up, and start living as if it already has. As Einstein said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. You must rise in frequency and sustain that level not once, but over and over again until the field mirrors it back to you as physical experience. This is the power of quantum shift. This is how you lock in a new timeline. If you're ready to live in your new timeline, do not just visit it, subscribe for more insights on grounding your manifestations into lasting reality. 10. Daily practice. Blueprint for timeline shifting. Start each day by awakening your awareness, because every reality shift begins with the question, what frequency am I carrying into today? The energy you bring into the world becomes the signal the quantum field responds to. If you're still carrying yesterday's fear, doubt, or limitation, you're simply tuning into the same version of life on repeat. But the moment you stop and ask yourself this question, you interrupt the loop. You become conscious. You take the first step into a new timeline, not by force, but by frequency. As you move into your day, let your actions become the embodiment of your intention. You cannot step into a new timeline while acting from the old one. It's not enough to visualize your dream reality. You must live it now. Speak from your future self. Walk with the confidence of the version of you who already holds the abundance, peace, or love you're seeking. Every choice you make is a vote for the timeline you align with. The field does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your coherence. Life will challenge that coherence. Triggers will arise. Emotions will surface. This is where emotional regulation becomes essential. Instead of reacting from the old self, pause. Breathe deeply. Remember your chosen frequency. Let your nervous system settle into peace rather than chaos. That breath becomes the bridge from an old version of you to the new one you're stepping into. The more often you choose calm in the storm, the more you anchor yourself in a higher reality. You don't heal by avoiding your emotions. You transform by alchemizing them. You are not meant to shift alone. The energy around you matters, which is why community and symbols act as quantum mirrors. Surround yourself with voices, messages, environments, and reminders that reflect where you're headed, not where you've been. Whether it's a podcast that reaffirms your vision, a sacred symbol placed on your desk, or a friend who speaks to your highest potential, these cues keep your signal strong. Energy is absorbed and reflected, and you must curate yours with devotion. And above all, Return to the frequency of gratitude not as a reaction to what's already here, but as a declaration of what's already becoming. Gratitude sharpens your frequency, raises your vibration, and fast-tracks the timeline collapse. Speak it aloud. Feel it in your bones. I am grateful for the peace unfolding. I am grateful for the abundance arriving. I am grateful for the version of me that is fully aligned. In gratitude, your signal becomes clear. And the clearer the signal, the faster reality responds. This is not about doing more. It's about being more aligned, moment by moment, breath by breath, emotion by emotion. In this way, you don't force your way into a new reality. You merge with it because your frequency becomes indistinguishable from the life you desire. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and tune into the frequency of your future self. Feel the shift. Say it with me. I am aligned with my highest timeline. I walk in it daily. If this message resonates with you, like this video, share it with someone awakening, and subscribe for more daily guidance on conscious timeline shifting. 11. Final invitation. Live it now. You're not here to chase a better life. You're here to become it. That's the essence of a quantum shift. It's not about striving for a future that always feels just out of reach. It's about stepping into the identity that already holds the reality you desire. You're not waiting for things to change. You're becoming the change that shifts everything. When your frequency matches the outcome you long for, the quantum field has no choice but to mirror it back to you. This shift doesn't require massive leaps. It begins with small, grounded, intentional actions. One clear decision, one bold step, one real moment of alignment can open doors that remain shut for years. Think of someone stuck in a cycle of dreaming without movement. They visualize abundance, but hesitate to invest. They imagine confidence, but remain silent. The gap isn't in the dream. It's in the lack of embodiment. When you finally act like the version of yourself who already has what you want, the universe takes you seriously. Let's get practical. Within the next 24 hours, do one small thing that reflects the reality you've chosen. If your new self is peaceful, turn your phone off and sit with yourself. If your new self is empowered, say no to what drains you. If your new self is creative, open the blank page and begin. These are not meaningless gestures. These are energetic commands. Every time you move from thinking into being, you collapse a possibility into experience. The quantum field responds to coherence when your thoughts, emotions, and actions speak the same language. You can't trick it with empty affirmations while your nervous system trembles in fear. You must become the frequency of the life you claim to want. This is not about proving your worth. This is about remembering that you already are it and giving that version of you a place to breathe and live through you. Nothing changes until you do. Reality doesn't shift when you want it. It shifts when you do it. This is your final invitation. Not to dream harder, not to wait longer, but to live it now. To seal this shift, take one aligned action within the next 24 hours, no matter how small. This is your final invitation to become the reality you desire. Comment below, I live it now, to declare your embodiment and inspire others to step into their timeline too. Thank you for taking this journey with us into the heart of quantum transformation. The shift begins not in the outer world, but within you. When your energy aligns, your reality responds. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights that awaken your power. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next step on your path to conscious creation. Your new reality is already waiting just to shift into it. The 6 dangerous people Carl Jung says you must avoid. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we're diving deep into a powerful message from Jung that could change the way you protect your energy and peace. Jung warned us about 6 types of people whose hidden behaviors can drain your spirit, distort your path, and quietly sabotage your growth. Are any of them in your life right now? As you watch, reflect on your relationships, then comment below. I choose peace over chaos. Your story might just help someone else awaken too. Let's explore this together. 1. The unconscious manipulator. The unconscious manipulator is one of the most dangerous people you can encounter, not because they intend to harm you, but because they don't know they're doing it. Beneath the surface of their charm and emotional depth lies a pattern of hidden projections and unresolved wounds. They carry pain they've never faced, and instead of processing that pain within, they unknowingly hand it to you. You become their emotional mirror, their savior, their energetic sponge. This person doesn't necessarily shout about their suffering. Often, they whisper it through subtle behaviors, passive remarks, victimhood cloaked in vulnerability, and silent expectations that you carry what they refuse to confront. You find yourself feeling responsible for their well-being, even though you never agreed to that contract. You start doubting your instincts, second-guessing your boundaries, and slowly, your emotional clarity becomes fogged with their inner chaos. They don't just want attention, they crave energetic hosting. You become a character in their inner drama without realizing you've been cast. They draw you in with sincerity, maybe even affection. You care for them. You try to help. You tell yourself they're just going through something, and maybe if you love them enough, they'll heal. But what's really happening is far more spiritual than psychological. They are projecting what they refuse to see in themselves onto you, and through that projection, they feed off your emotional strength. Carl Jung called this the danger of projection. When someone refuses to integrate their shadow, the guilt, the shame, the fear they cast those disowned pieces outward, you're not interacting with their truth, you're engaging with a distortion. And because it's unconscious, it escapes logic and bypasses confrontation. You can't talk them out of it because they don't even know it's happening. That's what makes it spiritually treacherous. It feels like love, but it's really a psychic entanglement disguised as compassion. You begin to notice how drained you feel after every interaction. Your energy dips, but your guilt spikes. You feel obligated, even when you want to pull away. You begin carrying their burdens without knowing where yours end and theirs begin. In spiritual wisdom, this is a form of energetic trespassing when someone unconsciously invades your field with their unhealed wounds and makes your soul responsible for their unconscious healing. True love doesn't require you to lose yourself. True connection doesn't ask you to abandon your clarity. When you find yourself constantly rescuing, over-explaining, or walking on emotional eggshells, you must stop and ask, is this real love? Or is this trauma trying to reenact itself in disguise? You are not here to be someone's emotional landfill. You are here to evolve. You are here to awaken. And spiritual growth demands that you recognize when your empathy is being weaponized against you. Some connections aren't sacred. They're spiritual lessons in disguise. You're not being cruel by walking away. You're honoring your soul. And sometimes, the most healing thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling the very patterns that are keeping them stuck. It's not your job to carry what they refuse to hold. Let go. Not with resentment, but with truth. Because as Jung wisely said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And your fate is far too precious to be entangled in someone else's denial. Have you ever found yourself emotionally drained after helping someone who never truly wants to heal? If so, share your story in the comments so others can relate and learn. If not, comment, "I will protect my energy," to commit to setting healthy boundaries and reclaiming your peace. Let's support each other on this journey of awareness and emotional freedom. 2. The bearer of the persona. The bearer of the persona is someone who has become a polished illusion so deeply attached to their social mask that they forget it's a mask at all. Polite, composed, and seemingly perfect, they navigate life as if it were a stage. Every gesture is rehearsed, every word filtered through the lens of public approval. But beneath that shiny surface, there is no spontaneity, no raw emotion, no truth. Carl Jung warned us of this kind of person, not because they are outwardly cruel, but because their subtle influence suffocates authenticity, both theirs and yours. When someone clings to their persona, vulnerability becomes threatening. They avoid emotional truth, not only in themselves, but in everyone around them. Instead of connection, they offer performance. Instead of presence, they offer presentation. They pressure others to match their polished facade, to uphold the same image-driven reality they inhabit. In time, you find yourself performing too smiling when you're hurting, nodding when you disagree, suppressing your own emotional depth so you don't disrupt their surface-level harmony. This dynamic is more than uncomfortable. It's spiritually dangerous. Carl Jung believed that the path to individuation, the journey toward becoming your whole self, demands truth, courage, and the willingness to embrace all that is raw and real within you. But the bearer of the persona blocks that path. Their mask isn't just their own burden, it becomes yours too. Being around them creates a quiet, creeping distortion. You forget what it's like to speak from the heart. You trade emotional honesty for acceptance. You dim your light to fit inside their glass cage of perfection. It happens slowly. Like Emily, a rising professional who admired her manager's composure. He was poised and graceful in meetings, always said the right thing, always looked the part. But as months passed, Emily realized she was no longer speaking up. She avoided sharing bold ideas. She began overthinking every conversation, worried about how she'd be perceived. Without realizing it, she had begun to wear her own mask, one that reflected his. What seemed like mentorship turned out to be mimicry. His emotional distance had spread like smoke, clouding her confidence. That's the silent danger Carl Jung wanted us to see. A person who lives entirely in their persona lives disconnected from their soul, and being in their presence can pull you away from yours. There's no joy in a relationship where everything must be filtered, every truth softened, every instinct restrained. What looks like grace may be repression. What feels like order may be a lack of inner freedom. And when you mirror their persona too long, your spirit begins to whisper, "This is not who I am." Spiritual wisdom teaches that to grow, we must surround ourselves with those who welcome truth, who allow us to be messy, tender, real. A person buried in their persona cannot give you that space. They can only give you a mirror for their mask. And if you're not careful, you'll wear it so long, you'll forget your own face. Are you ready to take off the mask and live as your true self? If so, comment below. I choose authenticity to affirm your commitment to inner truth and self-liberation. Let's break free from performance and walk the path of individuation together. 3. The owner of the repressed shadow. They appear calm, collected, and morally upright, always composed, always in control. You might even admire them. But behind this polished mask hides a psychological storm waiting to break loose. Carl Jung called them the owners of the repressed shadow people, who reject the parts of themselves they deem unacceptable. They suppress their anger, their envy, their desires, even their sadness. Not because they are above these emotions, but because they fear them. They fear what these feelings say about who they are. And so, they bury them deep in the unconscious, pretending they don't exist. But the shadow doesn't vanish. It accumulates. Every unspoken truth, every feeling swallowed instead of expressed, becomes fuel for a silent fire. Jung warned that the unconscious, when ignored, doesn't stay passive. It grows in power, waiting for a crack in the surface. And when that crack comes, it doesn't whisper, it explodes. A small comment, a moment of stress, or someone else's emotional honesty can suddenly trigger a sharp and disproportionate outburst. You'll be caught off guard, wondering what just happened. And it won't be a one-time event. Living with someone like this is like walking across a psychological minefield. Everything seems fine until it isn't. These individuals are often the first to shame or criticize others for showing emotion. They see vulnerability as weakness, passion as instability. But what they truly despise in others is what they've never allowed themselves to feel. Their criticism is not insight, it's projection. Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But for the repressed shadow, there is no reflection, only rejection. They do not see their emotional wounds. They only see your reactions. What makes this dynamic so toxic is that it distorts your sense of reality. You might begin to feel emotionally small around them. You hesitate to speak your truth. You second-guess your feelings. Slowly, you start to wonder, am I overreacting? Am I too sensitive? But it's not you. It's the weight of their unprocessed darkness pressing down on your light. The shadow, Jung taught, is not just a container for evil. It's also the hiding place of your creativity, your strength, your deepest potential. When someone represses it, they don't just lose access to their pain, they lose access to their power. And that loss poisons their relationships. Because intimacy requires authenticity. Connection requires vulnerability. And those who live in denial of their shadow cannot offer either. Spiritual awakening demands that we see clearly, both in others and within ourselves. Not everyone who seems peaceful is truly at peace. Not everyone who looks stable is emotionally safe. You must learn to sense what lies beneath the surface. You must honor your own emotional truth, even when someone else cannot hold it. Because the journey to inner freedom begins where suppression ends. And the greatest act of spiritual wisdom is to choose relationships where your soul can breathe. If you're ready to face your own shadow with honesty and courage, and to stop absorbing the emotional fallout of others' repression, comment below, I choose emotional truth. Let's walk this path of healing and self-integration together. 4. The moral controller. The moral controller is one of the most deceptive dangers Carl Jung warned us about because they don't wear the face of a villain. Instead, they come cloaked in virtue. They speak as though they are protecting the good, upholding truth, or guiding others to become better. But beneath that polished exterior is a deep psychological defense, projection. Jung's spiritual wisdom reveals that those who obsess over morality often do so because they cannot face their own unconscious impulses. They condemn others not out of love, but to avoid confronting their own shadow. In doing so, they turn morality into a weapon, not a compass, and use guilt as a method of control. They don't shout or attack outright. They suggest. They imply. They say things like, "I'm just concerned," or "I'm only trying to help." But the help always comes with shame. You begin to feel wrong for simply being yourself. Your laughter is too loud. Your ideas are too rebellious. Your joy is too much. Over time, you shrink not because you're bad, but because you've been made to feel bad for being human. Jung emphasized that excessive moralism is often a sign of internal repression. The more someone tries to control your behavior through moral critique, the more likely they are running from their own unresolved darkness. This is especially dangerous in families, where love is supposed to be unconditional. But for the moral controller, love becomes conditional on obedience. The child who is free-spirited, emotional, or curious becomes a threat. They're punished, not for wrongdoing, but for disturbing the parent's fragile inner image of order. In religion, the same pattern repeats. The moral controller uses doctrine not to heal, but to shame. They quote sacred texts, but forget the spirit behind them. Instead of guiding souls to freedom, they bind them in fear. The result is not spiritual awakening. It is suppression, fear, and performance. In strict institutions or belief systems, the moral controller enforces conformity. Individuality becomes a crime. Self-expression is labeled selfish. Dissent is rebellion against truth. Jung's teaching on individuation becomes essential here. The path to wholeness is not about fitting into a mold. It is about integrating all parts of ourselves, including the messy, complex, and emotional aspects that moral controllers want to erase. True spiritual wisdom embraces this paradox. It sees that growth comes not through perfection, but through honesty with our shadow. You'll know you're in the presence of a moral controller when you constantly feel small, guilty, or like you're walking on eggshells. Their energy doesn't invite authenticity. It demands compliance. And yet, they rarely see themselves as controlling. They think they're righteous. That's the most dangerous part. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The moral controller is being directed by their unconscious, and until they face it, they will try to direct yours. Trust your inner compass. True morality uplifts. It does not humiliate. It liberates. It does not bind. It comes from awareness, not projection. When morality is used to shame rather than to guide with compassion, it has ceased to be moral. If this message helped you see the hidden dynamics of moral control, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's break free from shame-based systems and support each other on the path to deeper self-awareness and true spiritual wisdom. 5. The complexed person. The complexed person lives in a constant storm of unresolved emotional wounds, often hidden beneath a surface of charm or sensitivity. One day, they're warm and affectionate. The next, they're cold, irrational, or unpredictably angry. This instability isn't just confusing, it pulls you into their inner chaos. You begin shrinking yourself, tiptoeing around their triggers, and carrying the emotional weight they refuse to face. The more you try to create peace, the more you lose pieces of yourself. Carl Jung described these individuals as being dominated by complexes, psychic fragments formed by trauma. These complexes, according to Jung, function like splinter personalities. They can hijack the person's behavior and emotions, making them act in ways that seem completely disconnected from the present moment. You're not interacting with the adult in front of you. You're confronting their abandoned pain, their rejected self, their unhealed memories. And the more unconscious these complexes are, the more powerful and destructive they become. In daily life, this shows up as emotional whiplash. One moment they're praising you, the next they're tearing you down for a slight that never existed. You're accused of being insensitive, unloving, or distant simply because their inner wounds are speaking louder than reality. You begin to feel like you're always doing damage control. But no matter how careful you are, it's never enough. You start to question yourself, your intentions, even your worth. That's the power of a complexed person. They don't just cause confusion, they make you doubt your truth. Spiritual wisdom calls us to compassion, but also to discernment. You can hold space for someone's pain, but you cannot let it become your prison. You are not the antidote to their trauma. You are not responsible for the healing they refuse to do. Carl Jung warned that when someone refuses to confront their unconscious, that unconscious will control them and in turn harm others. These people are not evil, but they are unsafe until they become aware. In today's world, these individuals might be colleagues, partners, even family members. You may think you're helping by staying, by softening, by sacrificing. But emotional instability, when repeated and unchecked, becomes a form of manipulation, whether intentional or not. Every time you deny your own needs to avoid triggering theirs, you abandon your own center. Every time you excuse their chaos, you normalize the erosion of your peace. The truth is, you cannot love someone into healing. You cannot stabilize someone who hasn't chosen to become whole. And you cannot continue shrinking just to make someone else feel big. As Jung taught, the work of integrating one's shadow, one's trauma, is deeply personal. No one can do it for you, and no one should suffer because you've refused to. The complex person isn't dangerous because they're broken. They're dangerous because they're unaware. An unconscious pain will always look for someone else to carry it. Don't let that someone be you. If you've made it this far, comment below, "I'm staying aware," to show your presence and focus. Your voice matters. Every comment helps us grow this space for healing, clarity, and spiritual insight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this message spoke to you. 6. The psychic vampire. A psychic vampire doesn't always come cloaked in darkness. Often, they arrive in the form of a friend, a partner, or even a family member, someone who appears emotionally fragile, always in need, constantly seeking attention, validation, or comfort. At first, you respond with compassion. You listen, you offer support, you show up. But slowly, something shifts. Without realizing it, you begin to feel tired after every interaction, confused about where your energy went, guilty for wanting space. This is not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Psychic vampires don't want to grow or heal. They want to be carried. and it's always you who ends up doing the heavy lifting. Carl Jung observed this deeply destructive dynamic and offered spiritual wisdom that pierces through the illusion. He believed that psychic vampires are individuals who have failed to individuate, who have not yet awakened spiritually to their own inner self. Instead of drawing strength from within, they latch onto others, feeding off emotional energy like it's their only lifeline. Jung wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And this avoidance, this refusal to go inward, makes them cling outward to you. They don't see you as a person. They see you as a source. You'll notice that they often play the victim, subtly manipulating others through guilt, tears, or helplessness. They may not even realize they're doing it, but the result is the same: a toxic symbiosis, where your role becomes to emotionally rescue someone who never truly wants to be rescued. You feel responsible for their sadness, obligated to respond to every emotional crisis, expected to drop everything just to keep them afloat. Over time, this dynamic dissolves your sense of self. You stop asking, "What do I feel?" because you're too busy trying to manage what they feel. Spiritual awakening is not just about enlightenment. It's also about recognizing what dims your light. And nothing does that more quietly than a psychic vampire. They don't scream. They sigh. They don't demand. They imply. But make no mistake, the damage is real. The exhaustion, the anxiety, the emotional depletion, these are signs that your energy field is being drained. And if you ignore those signs for too long, you begin to lose touch with your own center. You begin to confuse overgiving with kindness, guilt with love, sacrifice with purpose. In truth, protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred. Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us that real healing can only happen when a person faces their own unconscious shadow. If they refuse to do that inner work, no amount of your compassion will fill that void. You are not responsible for someone else's refusal to awaken. Your light is not meant to keep another person's darkness at bay. You are meant to walk your own path, not carry someone who won't move their feet. If someone in your life leaves you feeling consistently drained, confused, or guilty, listen to that feeling. It's not weakness, it's your soul speaking. And your soul knows when it's being robbed of its light. If this message has helped you recognize the hidden drainers in your life, leave a comment of awareness. I protect my energy and honor my peace. Your story might be the light someone else needs to finally break free. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another insight on your path to spiritual wisdom and emotional freedom. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening journey through Carl Jung's timeless wisdom. The people we allow into our lives shape not only our mindset, but also our destiny. By becoming aware of these dangerous personality types, you're already taking a powerful step toward protecting your peace and preserving your energy. If you found this message valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of clarity, growth, and transformation in our upcoming videos. Stay mindful, stay empowered, and as always, protect your spirit